first introduction we'll see. So motion in straight line, you can see the motion of this car that is in a straight line. So we will discuss this. The first we will discuss what is particle. So particle is an object which has negligible dimension. So negligible dimension with respect to what? With respect to whole motion. So for example, if motion of a plane is considered from suppose India to USA, so that the plane will be considered as particle. If you consider motion of earth in the solar system, the earth can be considered as particle. So it is not the size of object which decides that if object will be a particle or not, but it is relative size of object with respect to the whole motion that decides whether object can be considered as particle or not. The whole earth, which is very large in size, can be considered as particle if it moves in the solar system. So second is rigid body. So what is rigid body? It is combination of particles. When external force is applied, there will be no change in its dimension. So what is the example? Any stone, if you consider, that is rigid body. Any rigid body, it does not change its shape. So motion in a straight line. So in this, if you discuss, can we are you a particle or rigid body? If it is asked about someone, if someone says, are you a particle or rigid body? So if you are dealing with small distance motion, suppose you are moving 5 meter, 10 meter, then you will not be considered as particle. You will be considered as a rigid body. But if you consider the motion of a plane on Earth's surface, the plane will be considered as particle. If a person is there on the Earth's surface, on the whole, with respect to whole Earth, the person will be considered as particle. If relative distance is large, the person appears as a particle. So particle and rigid body are relative terms. So now we will discuss rest and motion. So what is rest and what is motion? So you can see that TV kept in a room, that can be considered as rest. A fan kept can be considered at rest. So if a body does not change its position with respect to surrounding, then the body is said to be at rest. As you can see, in case of TV and fan, the position is not changing, so they will be said at rest. So what is motion? The running fan can be considered in motion because its blades are rotating. A moving car can be considered in motion. Change the position with respect to time. So if position of an object changes with time, then we call it in motion. So are the passengers in the bus are at rest or in motion? So if you consider this bus and its passengers are at rest or motion. So if we see the passengers with respect to each other inside the bus, they are at rest. But if we see those passengers with respect to the people which are at bus stop, they will be considered in motion. So passengers in the bus are at rest relative to each other, and passengers with respect to people at bus stop will be considered in motion. So what is rest? How do we define? A body is said to be at rest when there is no change of position with respect to time. And what is motion? The motion is change of position with respect to time. So if there is change of position, we call it motion. If there is no change of position, we call it at rest. So what is kinematics? Now we have defined kinematics. So what is kinematics? It is branch of mechanics that deals with the study of motion of object without any reference to the cause of motion. So what does it mean? The reference to the cause of motion means what is the cause of motion? Means generally cause of motion is what? Force. So we are not going to deal with force. We will just deal the motion itself. We will not deal how the motion is created and how the motion is occurring, but we will only deal the motion. So that is the kinematics. So we will not discuss the force in this chapter. Then we define a system of coordinate with respect to which an event can be described is called frame of reference. So frame of reference we are defining. So what is frame of reference? It is the system of coordinate axis, means x, y, z axis, with respect to which we will define the motion. So whatever motion you suppose you say 4 kilometer per second, or position of the particle, suppose you say uh, 10 meter east and 4 meter north, whatever you say, that will with respect to some origin plus x and y axis system. So that x and y z axis system along with the watch, means clock, that for measuring time, is called frame of reference. Okay, so rest and motion are relative terms. The motion of an object is always with respect to some frame of reference. Means motion, if you say suppose motion of an object, so that's we took the example of bus. So if you say the motion of one passenger in the bus with respect to other passenger, means the other passenger is taken as frame of reference, then the motion of any other passenger in the bus will be what? Their motion will be zero, so they will be considered at rest. But if frame of reference is taken outside the bus means suppose someone at the bus stop. So if from there we are measuring the position of the people, then those people can be considered at motion. So frame of reference means from where we are measuring. So this was the frame of reference. These people are supposed frame of reference. Then the bus will be considered in motion. Another frame of reference, if you consider inside the bus itself, suppose the bus itself is a frame of reference, so all objects inside it will be at rest. So state, rest and motion are what? Relative terms. They are not absolute. So a body can be at rest or in motion with respect to a frame of reference. So absolute motion has no meaning. Absolute motion or absolute rest has no meaning. Even all objects at Earth which appear to be at rest on the Earth, if you see it from any other planet, they can be considered in motion. Even the sun, which is considered at rest in solar system, if it is see the whole sun is revolving around the galaxy Milky Way, and the Milky Way itself is moving. So none of the object is perfectly at rest, means absolutely at rest. They are always relative terms. So we have an example. The man is in a moving train, is at rest with respect to co-passengers, but he is in motion with respect to passenger outside the train.